Hey everybody. Today I wanted to do a quick ramble about Uranus. Uh, Sorry about like torn up T-shirt. I just woke up and there's a lot of Cancer energy in the air, and it's all transiting into my 12th house. And I feel like I just woke up with a burst of inspiration here. Um, Not that long ago, just around the 4th, Pisces moon goddess and I put out a video about America and America's chart, and we covered specific things, and we had a lot to talk about there. And specifically, we covered Uranus and Uranus transiting through Aries in the 4th house of America. And I last night I was watching this video about Earth ships. It's a type of it's a way of living where you can sustain your own lifestyle. I'll put a link so you guys can learn more about that. But this video is not about that. But I watched a documentary within this article about Earth ships, and the documentary really hit home for me when I was thinking about America and the idea of Uranus and what Uranus does and what Uranus represents. And when we think of Uranus, I think a lot of us think of innovation, we think of technology, and we think of radical ideas. I think a lot of things that we forget is the idea of destruction and chaos that Uranus brings as well. Uranus is a very dark outer planet because there's something to be learned from destruction here. There's something to be learned from loss. And you can see when you look at a lot of Aquarian people, a lot of famous Aquarian people, a lot of famous people with strong Aquarian energy, there's that line between them being a good person and them being a bad person, and what that really means, and really um, being radical, and the idea of like, yes, being radical is totally cool and go against the system, and rules are meant to be broken, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes being radical just means you're a terrorist. Sometimes being radical just means you're stupid. Sometimes being radical means that you're insane. Just like sometimes being radical can mean that you are a world changer, that you are a genius, that you are a helper to society. It could mean the exact opposite. Uranus covers all of that. And back to the documentary, there was a part where they talked about going to India or the Southwest Asia, and helping the people, and the idea that they were so ready to take on radical ideas when it came to building homes and infrastructure and architecture. The idea that they were open to new ideas because a disaster just happened. The idea that as soon as a disaster happens, that people are suddenly open for things to change. But before that disaster happened, how long did it take to just get an idea on the table and listen to? The idea of Uranus rung here in my head is the idea of innovation and destruction. This is why they need to go hand in hand. This is why Uranus represents both, because people are not ready for it until it's a necessity. When a tsunami comes through and wipes out half your population and wipes out all the infrastructure that you had there beforehand, I bet you're ready for something new, cheap, and renewable. An innovative idea that was not going to be accepted until that destruction came. The idea of loss and radical ideas being put together. With the connection to America, I think there's a lot to be said about the fact that there's a lot of politicians, there are a lot of people who still deny global warming, who still deny the fact that we are destroying our world. America, with China and other big countries, are kind of leading hands and destroying our world. This idea of destruction. With America specifically, Uranus is traveling through our 4th house of home, our 4th house of what we know. What are we used to? What do we cling to? Maybe it's time for it to be destroyed. Um, Same-sex marriage is legal. Um, we're still denying global warming. We're bringing up subjects that have to do with race and the past and what race is represented in our country for so long and what's radically changing within our country, how we represent ourselves and how we see ourselves as a unit in our history compared to what our future is going to be. A lot of things are being destroyed, but at the same time, a lot of innovation is coming up. Uranus is nowhere close to the end of its transit through Aries. I think the hostility, I think the damage, I think the radical ideas, I think the innovation, I think the chaos, I think the destruction, all of these things that inherently represent Uranus and its energy, they're just beginning. I think we need to start embracing going against lifestyles that we're used to, embracing change, embracing the idea of being open to our identities being rearranged in ways we don't even know yet. Because when we ignore the change that needs to happen, we're basically waiting on a tsunami. We're waiting on Uranus to make it a necessity. And we don't want that. We want to work with this energy. We want to be able to look up into the sky, see what's coming, and understand our needs as a country, as people. We all have Uranus transiting somewhere. I have Uranus actually transiting the opposite place in my midheaven. And there's a lot of radical shit happening. There's a lot going on when it comes to me and what I'm willing to let people brand me as, what I'm willing to talk about here in front of a camera. It's time to embrace change and make mistakes and embrace destruction and embrace chaos. Let the chips fall where they may and make the fucking most of it, because that's where innovation comes from, I feel like. So that's about it. That's my main thoughts about Uranus and Aries and America and us and all this bullshit. I guess you guys can tell me what you think about this. I'll put links up to this to like my Facebook, Twitter, and stuff like that. Get in touch with me up there. Shoot me an email. Whatever you want to do. Just, tell me about what you think. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already.